It is late and I have been thinking about how much noise there is in the financial world. When I was 21, I used to stay up scrolling through stories of overnight millionaires and crypto legends. I felt behind before I had even started my first real job after graduating in 2020. I thought I needed a brilliant idea or a massive stroke of luck to escape the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. Looking back now at 26 with my first $100,000 in the bank, I realize I was completely wrong. Wealth is not a lightning bolt that strikes the lucky few. It is a slow and steady accumulation of correct decisions. I reached this milestone not because I am a genius, but because I stopped trying to be one. I want us to sit down and have a real talk about what it actually looks like to build a foundation. We are going to ignore the hype and focus on the mathematical certainty of the long game. My journey started with a very painful realization during my first year at a Fortune 500 company. I was working hard and making a decent salary, but at the end of every month, my bank account was nearly empty. I looked at my colleagues who had been there for 10 years and they were still stressed about money. I realized that if I followed the standard path, I would end up in the same position of quiet desperation. I had to change my relationship with money from seeing it as something to spend to seeing it as a tool for freedom. The first thing I did was look at my spending through a very cold and objective lens. I used to think that treating myself to a nice meal or a new gadget was a reward for my hard work. In reality, I was just trading hours of my life for things that ended up in a drawer or a landfill. I started tracking every single dollar that left my pocket, and the results were embarrassing. I was spending hundreds of dollars a month on small conveniences that did not actually make my life better. Once I saw the data, I could no longer lie to myself about why I was not building wealth. I decided to live on 50% of my income, regardless of what my peers were doing. This was not about deprivation, it was about choosing a different kind of luxury. I traded the luxury of a new car for the luxury of a $100,000 safety net. Let us look at the math of the first $100,000 because it is the hardest part of the entire journey. Charlie Munger always said that the first 100K is a challenge, but you must find a way to get there. He was right, because once you have that amount, the money starts to do the heavy lifting for you. If you have $100,000 invested in a total market index fund, it can grow by $7,000 to $10,000 in a good year. That is money you earned while sleeping, traveling, or reading a book. But to get there, you have to be willing to be the person who drives the older car and cooks at home. I remember feeling a bit of FOMO when my friends were booking expensive trips to Tulum or buying designer bags. I felt like a boring person who was missing out on the best years of my life, but then I realized that they were spending money they had not even earned yet by using credit cards. They were mortgaging their future freedom for a weekend of Instagram photos. I stayed focused on the VO and VTI ticker symbols and watched my shares grow month by month. I used a dollar cost averaging strategy, which means I invested the same amount every 2 weeks. Like clockwork, it did not matter if the market was up or down or if the news was screaming about a recession. I treated my investments like a bill that I had to pay to my future self every single payday. There were times when the market dropped and I saw my balance go down by thousands of dollars. The old version of me would have panicked and sold everything to protect what was left, but the disciplined version of me understood that a market drop is just a sale on future wealth. I bought more shares when they were cheaper, and that is exactly how the math works in your favor. You have to develop a stomach for volatility if you want to benefit from the growth of the economy. Since 2020, we have seen inflation eat away at the purchasing power of the dollar. If you leave your money in a savings account earning 0.01%, you are effectively losing money every day. The only way to stay ahead is to own productive assets like stocks or real estate. For me, the SP 500 was the simplest and most effective vehicle for my goals. I did not have to spend hours researching individual companies or trying to predict the next big trend. I just owned the 500 largest companies in America and let their CEOs work for me. I think many people in our age group are looking for a shortcut because the world feels so expensive. Housing prices are high and student loans are a burden, but the math of compound interest has not changed. Time is the most valuable asset you have right now at 20-something. If you wait until you are 35 to start investing, you will have to work twice as hard to reach the same result. I wanted to reach the 100K mark early so that the rest of my life could be lived on my own terms. Now that I am here, the pressure has lifted in a way that is hard to describe. I don't to worry about being laid off because I have a multi-year runway. I don't to worry about an emergency car repair because it is just a small line item in my budget. This peace of mind is worth more than any designer brand or luxury vacation. I want you to understand that you are capable of doing this too if you are willing to be boring. Wealth building is not about excitement, it is about consistency. It is about the $500 you invest every month for 5 years without fail. It is about saying no to the social pressure of looking rich so that you can actually be rich. I used to care what people thought of my 5-year-old Toyota. Now I realize that the people whose opinions I care about don't judge me by my car. And the people who do judge me by my car are not people I want in my life anyway. This journey has taught me a lot about human psychology and our need for status. We are wired to want to show off our success to the tribe. But in the modern world, showing off your success usually involves spending the very capital that creates wealth. It is a trap that keeps the middle class stuck in a cycle of working until they are 65. I am choosing to break that cycle by valuing my freedom over my status. When I reached $50,000, I felt a shift in my confidence. When I reached $80,000, I started to see the power of the compounding, and when I finally saw the six figures in my account, I felt a sense of calm that I had never known. I am still the same person and I still live the same lifestyle. I still cook my meals and I still look for value when I shop. The only difference is that my money is now working harder than I am. I want to encourage you to start where you are today. Even if you can only invest $50 a month, the habit is more important than the amount. Once you build the habit of saving and investing, it becomes part of your identity. You stop being a consumer and you start being a builder. The math is on your side and the time is going to pass anyway. In 5 years, you will either have a substantial nest egg or you will have a pile of old receipts. The choice is yours and it is made one day at a time. I am not saying it is easy to live differently than everyone else. It can be lonely to be the one who says no to the expensive dinner or the group trip, but the people who are on the same path as you will understand and support you. I found a community of like-minded people who value financial independence as much as I do. We talk about expense ratios and tax-advantaged accounts instead of the latest fashion trends. It sounds incredibly boring to most people, but to us, it is the language of freedom. I hope this conversation gives you some clarity on your own financial journey. You don't need a miracle, you just need a plan and the discipline to follow it. The first $100,000 is just the beginning of what is possible for you. Keep your head down, keep your eyes on the numbers, and keep moving forward. The math does not lie, and it does not have favorites. If you do the work, the results will follow with mathematical certainty. Thank you for listening to my story tonight. It feels good to share the reality behind the numbers. I will be here to share more as I continue on this path. We are in this together, and I know you can reach your goals. Good night, and keep building. I remember one specific night 2 years ago when I almost gave up. I was tired of being the frugal one in my social circle, and I wanted to buy a luxury watch. I had the cash in my savings account and I convinced myself I deserved it. I went to the store and held the watch in my hand and it felt amazing. But then I did the mental math of what that $5,000 would be worth in 30 years. At an 8% annual return, that watch was actually costing me $50,000 of my future retirement. I put the watch back and walked out of the store feeling like I had just won a battle. That was the moment I knew I would actually make it to $100,000. It was about winning those small internal battles every single day. Most people think wealth is about the big wins like a promotion or a bonus, but those big wins are often wasted if the small habits are not in place. If you get a $10,000 raise but increase your spending by $10,000, you are still in the same place. I have seen people earn $200,000 a year and still live paycheck to paycheck. The size of your shovel does not matter if you have a hole in your bucket. I focused on fixing the hole in my bucket before I worried about the size of my shovel. This is the part of the story that people don't want to hear because it requires self-reflection. It is easier to blame the economy or the government than it is to look at your own bank statement. While there are certainly systemic issues, I chose to focus on the variables I could control. I could control my savings rate, my investment strategy, and my lifestyle. By focusing on those three things, I removed the element of luck from my financial future. I became the architect of my own wealth rather than a victim of my circumstances. I spent many weekends reading books on tax efficiency and asset allocation. I learned that the most successful investors are often the ones who do the least. They pick a solid strategy and they stick to it for decades. I decided to become one of those boring investors. I don't check my portfolio every day because the daily fluctuations don't matter to me. I check it once a month to record my progress and then I go back to my life. This approach has saved me so much mental energy and stress. I am not trying to beat the market, I am just trying to capture the growth of the market. This realization was a huge weight off my shoulders. I stopped feeling like I had to be an expert and started acting like a disciplined participant. I want you to feel that same sense of relief and control. You don't have to be a Wall Street trader to become wealthy. You just have to be a person who spends less than they earn and invests the rest in a diversified way. The simplicity of this plan is its greatest strength. It is accessible to anyone who has the discipline to stay the course. I know the world feels chaotic right now and the future feels uncertain. But the best way to handle uncertainty is to have a strong financial foundation. Money cannot buy happiness, but it can buy you options and it can buy you time. Having the option to leave a toxic job or take a year off to travel is a form of wealth. Having the time to spend with your family and friends without worrying about bills is a form of wealth. The first $100,000 is the key that opens those doors. It took me 5 years of consistent effort to get here and I would do it all over again. The version of me that started in 2020 would be so proud of where I am today. Not because of the money itself, but because of the person I had to become to earn it. I had to learn patience, resilience, and the power of saying no. Those are the true assets that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. I hope you start your journey today if you haven't already. Don't wait for the perfect time because there is no such thing. The best time to start was yesterday and the second best time is right now. Trust the math, trust the process, and trust yourself. You are closer than you think to your first milestone. I look forward to hearing about your success in the future. We are part of a generation that is redefining what it means to be successful. We are choosing freedom over stuff and peace over chaos. It is a beautiful thing to see so many people taking control of their futures. I will keep sharing my progress and my lessons as I move toward the next $100,000. The math tells me it will happen faster than the first one, and I am excited to see it. But for now, I am content with the quiet progress of today. I hope you find that same contentment in your own life. Keep your eyes on the horizon and your feet on the ground. The journey is long, but the destination is worth every sacrifice. Thank you for joining me for this long talk. I feel like we covered a lot of ground, and I hope it was helpful. If you have questions or want to share your own story, please leave a comment. I read all of them, and I learn so much from your experiences. We are a community of builders, and we are just getting started. Good night, and I will talk to you soon. Take a deep breath and remember that wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. You don't have to have it all figured out tonight. Just make one good decision tomorrow and then do it again the next day. That is the only way anyone ever gets anywhere meaningful. I am rooting for you, and I know you can do this. The math is ready when you are. I spent so much of my early 20s feeling like I was running a race against a clock that wasn't real. I thought if I didn't have it all by 25, I was a failure. Now at 26, I see that life is much longer and more forgiving than I thought. The first $100,000 is a great milestone, but it is not the finish line. It is just the beginning of a much larger story. I am excited to see where we go from here. Let us keep building together and supporting each other on this path. There is enough room at the top for everyone who is willing to do the work. The world needs more financially secure and independent people who can make decisions from a place of strength. Be one of those people. Start today and don't look back. The numbers will guide you home. I think about the people who inspired me when I was starting out. They weren't the ones showing off private jets or gold watches. They were the ones talking about index funds and emergency funds in a calm and steady voice. They gave me the permission to be boring and to focus on the long term. I hope I can be that same voice for you tonight. Financial success is 80% behavior and only 20% head knowledge. You already know what you need to do, which is to spend less and invest more. The hard part is actually doing it every single day for years. But I promise you the feeling of reaching your goal is better than any temporary purchase. I will never forget the day I logged into my account and saw that six-figure balance. It didn't change my life overnight, but it changed how I felt about my life. I felt a deep sense of security that I had earned through my own discipline. No one can take that away from me, and no one can take it away from you once you build it. This is the true power of self-reliance. You are the only person who can truly secure your financial future. Employers come and go, and markets go up and down, but your habits are yours forever. Cultivate the habits of a wealthy person, and the wealth will eventually follow. It is a law of nature as much as it is a law of mathematics. I am grateful for the lessons I learned in these first few years. They were hard and sometimes frustrating, but they were necessary. I am a better person because of the constraints I put on myself. I have more focus and more clarity than I ever had when I was spending everything I made. I hope you find that same focus and clarity in your own journey. The first $100,000 is waiting for you. Go out and get it one boring day at a time. I will be right here with you. I remember the first time I explained my investment strategy to a friend. They looked at me like I was crazy because I was trying to find the next big tech stock. They wanted to know about the latest trends and the hottest tips. I told them I just buy the whole market and wait. They thought it was too simple to work, but now they are the ones asking me for advice. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication in the world of finance. Don't let the complex charts and the fancy jargon intimidate you. At the end of the day, it all comes down to the same basic principles. Own more than you owe and let time do the rest. It is a beautiful system when you stop trying to fight it. I am finally at peace with my financial life, and I want that for you too. The stress of money is a heavy burden to carry, but you have the power to put it down. Start building your foundation today and watch how your life changes. It won't happen tomorrow, but it will happen. Trust the math and stay the course. You are doing better than you think you are. Every dollar you save is a seed for your future forest. Plant those seeds today, and one day you will sit in the shade of your own creation. It is a journey worth taking, and I am glad we are on it together. Good night, and keep moving forward. I will see you in the next chapter of this journey. Take care of yourself and your future. The world is full of opportunities for those who are prepared. Be prepared and be patient. The results will come, and they will be magnificent. I believe in you and the power of your discipline. Let us make the next few years the most productive of our lives. The first $100,000 is just the beginning of a life lived on your own terms. Let us get to work. I think about the compound interest table and how it looks like a hockey stick. For the first few years, it looks like nothing is happening. You save and you invest, and the balance grows so slowly it feels pointless. But then you hit a certain point, and the curve starts to turn upward. That is the magic of the first $100,000. You are building the base of that hockey stick right now. Don't stop before you reach the turn in the curve. The most growth happens at the very end of the journey, but you have to survive the beginning to get there. Most people quit in the first 3 years because they don't see immediate results. They want the prize without the process. But you are different because you understand the value of the process itself. You know that the discipline you are building now is the real prize. The money is just a scoreboard that tracks your progress. I am proud of the way you are thinking about your future. It takes courage to be the one who does things differently, but the rewards for that courage are immense and long-lasting. I look forward to our next long talk and hearing about your progress. Until then, stay disciplined and stay clear. The math is always on your side. Good night.